Hi, we're Richard and Jackie from Early Retirement Wanderlust.
And we're just coming to the end of our 5 week road trip around the Rocky Mountains of America in this rental RV. And we thought that we would just give you some random reflections on renting an RV in the US. So we've had an amazing 5 weeks pootling around the Rocky Mountains in this rental RV.
And we wanted to share with you some of the things that we wish we knew before we'd actually hired the RV and some of the things that we've definitely learned in the 5 weeks.
So it doesn't take Einstein to work out that this RV is a big old girl. She's a big truck, she's based on a big truck, but that hasn't detracted from the fun that we've had over the last 5 weeks.
No, it is a C25 class motorhome apparently. It was really good when there was the three of us because Mum was with us for the first 3 weeks. It's got a full-size double bed at the back, and it's actually got a full-size double bed. If you're up in the roof as well, you just bang your head every time you sit up. But it was perfect when there were the three of us. For the two of us, if it was just us two to do a trip again, we would probably go for their smaller, more compact van.
One of the things to consider when hiring an RV is some of the hidden extras that you could potentially get charged for at the end of the rental period. We were lucky because we were guided by trail finders, our travel operators, and they booked for us an unlimited mileage package, so we wouldn't get any hidden extras at the end of the trip for doing extra miles. And they also booked us unlimited use of the generator, which would have been really useful if we'd have done more boondocking and off-grid camping, because it's always a reassurance when you know that you can get mains electricity wherever you are.
So when we picked up the van, it came with absolutely nothing inside. You have to make sure that you've completely resourced everything yourselves. Because we were flying from the UK, we did take them up on their packages of bedding and a kitchen package. The bedding package wasn't too bad. I think it was about $25 per person, and you got a couple of towels, a couple of sheets, and a duvet sleeping bag type thing. It was adequate, but we did go to Walmart and we did buy an extra duvet each because we were traveling in the winter to keep us warm. The kitchen package was $125, which I thought was quite steep. It comes with a pan set, very eclectic mix of old cutlery, nothing matched, 4 plates, 4 mugs, 4 bowls, and a few ladles and bits and pieces. It was very basic and very cheap and chatty, but it's done the job. We did have fun in our first Walmart shop because we had to completely equip the van out, and luckily, because we're used to living in a van in the UK, we knew what sort of things we might need to buy. It didn't come with a bin. It didn't come with any cleaning products at all. It didn't come with any storage solutions for when we're travelling, so we bought a few baskets just to keep at our bedsides so that we could put things in at night, which was quite fun actually. We actually spent over $400 between the three of us buying basic things like some bedding, the bits of equipment I've just talked about, and our first food shop, which did include a few boxes of wine.
We thought when we came to America that petrol costs would be really cheap. Paying at the pump, it can be anything from about $3.70 up to about $4.50. And looking on the forums, if you go to LA, it can be up to $5.50 a gallon. What we didn't consider when we hired this RV was the 6.2 litre V8 engine, and it just guzzles fuel. So we've still got a few days to go, and we've just done a quick calculation. We've spent over $1,400 on petrol, and that's covered us just under 5,000 miles. So it is a big expense on top of the rental.
Another huge expense of this trip has been paying campsite fees. We thought that we'd probably stay off campsites a few more times than we actually have, but that just hasn't been. So campsites, they range from $120 in Yellowstone and in some of the national parks, but we have also found some really cute little campgrounds that have been $20 a night that you just put cash in an envelope. Our average spend has probably been between $50 to $60 a night. That soon adds up over a 35-night trip. One thing that did come with our Cruise America keyring is a membership card for KOA campsites. We used them probably for about 15 nights, and they're quite a nice standard of a campsite. You kind of know what you're going to get. They weren't that expensive. They have a couple of different brands. They've got a Journey one, which is slightly cheaper, and they've got a family type one that's got pools and things that were more expensive. And most places we went, we could find one. If we were to do this journey again though, although the KOA card that came with Cruise America was great, it gave us 10% discount, I think over a 5-week period we probably would have got our own KOA reward card. It's $36, you get the 10% discount a night, but you also got other little perks that would have added up for us to get cheaper sites on some occasions, and I think if you did a certain amount of nights you might have got nights free as well.
One of the things when we rented the RV that we weren't aware of was the water supply in the van. It's fantastic in the fact that it has got an enormous onboard water tank, which means you're never going to run out of water. However, on the outside of the van, there is a warning that says do not use for drinking. It could cause death, which is a slightly alarmist sort of statement, but it has worried us. So throughout our trip, we have been either buying containers of drinking water, or we've been rotating 3 of these containers, and every time we go to campsites we make sure we get a good drinking water source and just fill that up for drinking and teas and coffees and so on. One of the things we found really easy about hiring with Cruise America was that there was a whole package of pre-rental information really online as to how to use the van and how the van operates. So I felt really confident that even before I got my hands on the van, I actually knew how it worked.
One of the things that surprised us when we went to confirm a pickup time is that we couldn't pick the van up. I think it was until after 2 o'clock, wasn't it? And we were staying in a hotel just 2 miles down the road, and we were sitting around. They did say it was so that they could clean the van both inside and out, and do more essentially for us some maintenance on the van to make sure it was safe for us taking it out again.
When we picked up the van, one of the things that scared me a little was when they talked about the rarity of propane, and that we would have to make sure that the propane was always topped up. We've topped up the propane 3 times on this trip and we've never had a problem finding it. Pretty much every campsite has it, and it's really quite cheap compared to petrol, so each top up has cost us about $20 a go.
When we're in the UK, we always use Google Maps to get us around. We don't have any issues because our van is a small van and it drives like a car. When we first started travelling in this thing, we still use Google Maps, worked perfectly fine, but where it tells you that it might only take an hour to get somewhere, we generally say, oh, that's an hour and a half then, because we can only travel at between 45 and 55 miles an hour. So everything is much slower.
I'll be really honest, driving this big old girl did take a little bit of getting used to. First of all, it's an automatic, and it's a very old-fashioned automatic with a stick shift up here. That's not too bad. It's the fact that she is a heavy old girl, so she's not responsive. I would say she drives like a brick. You've got to be really careful of your braking distances. She takes a long time to slow down. One of the helps with that, going down the mountain passes, is tow assist, which I've just left on throughout the entire journey. It protects the brakes, and in essence it's like reverse cruise control really. It stops you going too quick, and it engine brakes when you are going down the hilly mountain passes, which stops your brakes overheating, because if your brakes overheat then you get a bill at the end of your rental for that. The other thing that I've found really difficult is parking. I find parking anything difficult, but a 25-footer, it's not the easiest thing in the world. So when we visit in small towns, I'm always looking out for the car parks that are furthest from the centre, that have the most space, and preferably double parking bays. I have really enjoyed driving the van, and I've particularly enjoyed driving the van in the mountains. The mountain passes aren't that bad. They're not as windy or as narrow as European standards, and I've been quite surprised at how far you can go in the RV, and it's really fun to drive. However, unfortunately there have been some roads that have restrictions that don't allow RVs on, and that was particularly pertinent in some of the national parks where we wanted to get out onto a particular route to see the wildlife, and just because we were in an RV we weren't allowed to do that.
Something that we were actually quite looking forward to was having a van that's got onboard facilities, because some of the places we go to in Europe, I'm a little bit restricted. We don't have a toilet in our VW van, and we have to find campsites or use public toilets. This has not really changed my mind on having onboard facilities in our new van when we do upgrade. It feels a bit damp, it feels a bit smelly. It's not really for me.
However, for me, in sharp contrast to Jackie, I was definitely of the view that we didn't need a shower and a toilet, and I have now changed my views completely. It's fine, it gets us out of loads of situations. I'm quite happy to have a shower in there. I'm not that fussy where I shower or where I go to the loo, so it's fine for me.
I suppose it's a bit of a mindset thing though. We treat both this van and our camper van in the UK not like being in a hotel, it's just like being posh camping but on wheels.
The one thing having an RV has allowed us to do is to get out and about into places that don't necessarily have hotels. So we have stayed at some wonderfully wild campsites in the middle of nowhere, under the stars, that we just wouldn't have had that opportunity to do if we were touring in a car and hotels.
Don't forget that some of those campsites also had bears that I was tentatively looking out for all night. The other thing is, being in the Cruise America has been really funny. It's been a bit of a conversation starter at lots of different places, whether it be that we're filling the van with petrol and people will come and ask us what it's like travelling around in it and what it was like hiring it, and on campsites as well. So we've actually met lots of people that have spoken to us because of the van. So the big question is, would we do this again? Would we hire a Cruise America or any RV rental in America again?
I think on the driving front, I've really enjoyed it. I was really apprehensive coming out, but it hasn't proven to be too difficult to drive. In actual fact, it's been really enjoyable, and I've liked the getting to know a new van and how it works and keeping it on the road. It's just, yeah, it's been fun all the way through as a drive.
It's taken us to places that we really couldn't have got to if we were just on a normal holiday, because we've had 35 nights and I don't think we've stayed at a campsite 2 nights running.
No.
If we were to do the rental again, just the 2 of us, I think we would definitely go for a much smaller van, maybe even a similar sort of VW crafter size van.
Yeah, that would allow us to get to even more hidden places and maybe open up some of those roads that we weren't allowed to go on. The one thing that did surprise us, and I suppose we shouldn't really have been surprised about it, was the overall cost of the holiday. It's expensive to hire an RV coming over from Europe to the US.
The petrol was a real shock to us. Spending nearly $1,400 in 5 weeks is a lot of petrol. I know we did travel a lot, we've been to a lot of places, but when you add to that the cost of staying on campsites every night at least an average of $50-60 a night, it's not been a cheap holiday. I think if we'd come a few weeks earlier we would have made more use of the campgrounds, but we found a lot of the state-run campgrounds were closing kind of as we've been driving through the Rockies. We've caught the last few that have been open, they've been $20 a night. That is a big money saver.
And then the only thing that we're probably apprehensive about is handing the van back. So we've got to do a full clean down, we've got to do a full pack up. We, as ever with rental vehicles, you never know whether you're going to get hit with mysterious charges or not, but that remains unknown. But hopefully we'll be able to report back in a future video.
So on balance, I would do it again, but I'd have to save.
And I'd do it again because I just think we have built up a lifetime of memories in our 5 weeks over here.
And we have decided there's just so many places we still want to explore, so we've already planned what we would do in our next 3 or 4 different trips.
So that's it. Hope you've enjoyed our random reflections in no particular order.
Reflections or ramblings. Anyway, bye.
Bye.